Well, I am aware of the controversy around JADAM in using anaerobic processes to cultivate soil microorganisms and fertilizers, using natural materials. I do believe that the purpose and intent of JADAM, especially with the JADAM Microbial Solution, is a fitting use for anyone willing to travel the organic or natural farming road, because you are bringing in a multitude of diverse microorganisms, soil microorganisms, from a healthy ecosystem and introducing them into your local environment. So for this reason, I do recommend that you consider reading the JADAM book and exploring some of its organic alternatives, because it is a very easy way to produce your own nutrients, microorganisms, and it's just easily accessible for anyone. Anyone can do it. The processes are so simple, and if you want to get a little bit deeper and you want to explore Korean natural farming and some of those ferments, which might be a little bit more palatable to individuals, it's not so anaerobic, it's not so putrid or smelly. I recommend that you look into those. But JADAM is so easily accessible, and anyone can do it, and you can really see the benefits of it, whether or not you believe in using anaerobic versus aerobic. I do believe that individuals seeking a low-cost, beneficial system to introduce into their individual organic farms or gardens, to consider JADAM and to look into it.
So I'm making JMS today with some compost from the Johnson Sioux, which you can see is mostly finished, holds together pretty nicely, kind of like clay. So we're going to add a handful of that into this mesh bag in a 5-gallon bucket. And you add a little bit of sea salt. This is just sea salt that I use for the garden. Just add a little bit of that for micronutrients. You add your starch, which in this case I have some leftover rice, but too much leftover rice. But you can add a bowl of potatoes, or I use cassava pretty often. I have quite a bit of cassava from the garden. Sweet potatoes, pretty much any starch, and just put a handful of that in there, or a few handfuls. Kind of want to get the equivalent of like 2 boiled potatoes in there. That's probably plenty. Grab your non-chlorinated water. In this case, it's pond water, and I don't have 17 hands, so I'm just going to do this kind of like this. And I'm going to pour in the rest of this bucket of pond water. Poured the rest of the pond water in there through the mesh bag, so it kind of distributed some of the starches and the compost and the salt, and tied it off here on the handle. So we'll check back in on this in about 12 hours or 24 hours and 36 hours, and we'll see what the progress is. About 24 hours later, checking on the JMS. You can see that there are some bubbles and a ring kind of forming around the net. Shows that the microbial activity is starting to ramp up, and we'll check it. It's morning now. We'll check it this afternoon when we're approaching 36 hours, and this one might be ready. Alright, so we're checking on the JMS at about 36 hours after we first started it, and it is alive. Look at all those bubbles. It's creating almost like a film on the surface. There are so many bubbles. It smells pretty good. Kind of smells like yogurt, which is a good sign. Lots of lactic acid bacteria. And ideally, we would want to be using it right about now at its peak life. However, it's the middle of a thunderstorm right now, and I'm not sure if they're going to let up before this evening, but if they are, we'll spread it out about 1 cup to a gallon, and you can spray it out with a sprayer, or you can put it out in bulk and soak the ground with it, which is usually what I like to do, and get those microbes deep into the ground. So if that happens tonight, or when it happens, I will pick up where I left off. So I got the sprayer here and a cup, which I'm going to take 2 scoops. It's 2 gallons in the sprayer. So 2 cups for 2 gallons. We have our 2 gallons of JMS with rainwater. Pump it. That's right, a recycled container, 1 gallon container. And I am going to take a 1 cup scoop, roughly. Hard to do this with 1 hand, but I'll just dump in some of the JMS. Make sure it's nice incorporated. I'll dump that right at the base of this baby papaya. Around. Cup, banana pup.